Hello, welcome to Quartzlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode, the Lancia Coupe and HPE. Hello, welcome back. Now if you're new to Quartzlight, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s and sometimes beyond that as well. So if you're interested in cars, car brochures, looking back at cars gone by, really all about bringing back those memories, then please do consider subscribing to Quartzlight. It really does help greatly. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in today. Today's episode, like I said at the start of the show, the Lancia Coupe and HPE. This particular brochure is from 1982. We have looked at it before, but a few years ago, and we've changed things so much on Quartzlight, it's worth revisiting and picking out more points. So let's throw that on the board now. So here we go, Lancia Coupe HPE. Coupe in the foreground and the HPE in the background there. Pretty rare cars today, of course, due to typical Italian rot, but an interesting car. I always quite like the designs of these actually, and like I said, the brochure itself from 1982. The scene is quite an interesting one as well. I'm not actually sure whereabouts that is, but it looks a very English scene, doesn't it? I know a lot of car brochure shots are taken in the Lake District. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not really recognising that particular scene, but if you do know where that is, please do bloop that in the comments section. Always interesting to learn more, of course. But let's open the brochure up and have a look inside. So this particular brochure starts here, really talking about the history of Lancia with some very early Lancias and this utterly beautiful design here. I think we will read some of this. We didn't even touch on this at all last time we looked at this brochure. And I've also got this lovely family shot, the range of Lancias in the UK at the time. Wonderful. So, yeah, like I say, we'll look at some of this text and hopefully learn a bit about this beautiful car too. So it starts here. Vincenzo Lancia was more than simply the most innovative car engineer of his generation, or of any other for that matter. He was also a leading industrialist, an unbeatable racing driver and a born technician. At the tender age of 20, he was already the chief inspector for a leading car manufacturer, which is very impressive, isn't it? It goes on to tell us he was also a member of their race team, and he consistently crossed the line first. He drove with courage and calculated daring, and since he knew the cars he was driving down to the very last nut and bolt, he drove them as well as himself to the limit. However, it was as a creator and designer of cars that Vincenzo Lancia most wanted to be known. His very first car went completely contrary to conventional thinking. It was a light and low, shaft driven rather than chain driven, and it was considerably more powerful, as well as being faster than any other cars of the time. Other important innovations soon followed. In 1915, Vincenzo Lancia stole a march on the entire motoring world by patenting the V engine. In 1921, he devised independent suspension. What car would be without it today? The following year, he introduced the first car that had been electrically welded and built from pressed steel. Something else we take for granted nowadays. Then in 1934, 3 years before his death, Vincenzo Lancia built his dream car. It was called the Aprilia, and it combined lightness with space, economy with speed, and handling with common sense. Attributes the majority of car manufacturers are still striving for today. After his death, his pioneering spirit lived on. 1948 saw the introduction of the first 5-speed manual gearbox, which lowered the car's revs at high speed to lower fuel consumption. It's now standard equipment right across the Lancia range. So I presume it is the Aprilia. Like I said, I don't really know too much of sort of pre-war cars, but that is certainly a very beautiful car, and it really shows you how Lancia changed from being a sort of almost luxurious high-speed car to being more a car for the masses. I think that's my take on it anyway. In 1950 there was the first V6 engine, and a year later the first GT car. Then in 1960 Lancia combined front wheel drive and disc brakes, a rarity then, but like so many Lancia innovations, commonplace on today's cars. These innovations found their way into some of the best loved cars ever built. The Aprilia, the Ardea, the Aurelia, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, and the Fulvia. The essential difference between these cars and others was that they had drivability as part of their character. Character is, of course, inherent in the present day Lancias featured in this brochure. So too are some of the most advanced car building techniques in the world. At Chivasso in northern Italy, robot computers check every single stage of production. To prevent corrosion, a very high proportion of pre-coated sheet metal is used, and wherever that kind of like loses me a bit on the corrosion things, because I think that didn't go as planned, really, did it? Sheet metal panels meet zinc based paints are applied for additional protection. 70s was terrible for most manufacturers. 80s, I think they started to get a little bit better, a lot of the manufacturers, but you soon saw very rusty Lancias at this time in the UK, at least. I'm sure in Italy they lasted far better. Constant research and development is carried out, as well as a continuous safety and test program to ensure that everything Vincenzo Lancia stood for remains true today. Some of today's methods may be a far cry from anything that he was used to, but we are sure he would appreciate the care and craftsmanship that goes into every single car bearing his name. Lancia, the driver's car. Then we got this lovely family pic. Background there we do have a Delta, and then going from this side we've got the Trevi. So the Delta and the Trevi won't be featured in this brochure. And then we've got the two cars that are featured, the Coupe and the HPE. Very interesting looking cars in my opinion. Some quite interesting looking alloy wheels too. And then we got some quite nice images of the two models. The HPE is the one I find the most interesting though. It almost gives me sort of like Reliant Scimitar vibes somehow. I don't know, from that sort of side shot, but we'll read this text, then we'll come back to the images themselves. So the brochure itself continues in that similar sort of vein of really playing on this sort of Lancia name of old, really. So it starts saying, every time Vincenzo Lancia introduced a new car, the motoring world held its breath, because the arrival of a new Lancia heralded more fresh ideas and further innovation. So it continued after the great man's death. In the 50s, Lancia introduced the first Gran Turismo in the shape of the Aurelia. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but these aren't particular models I'm particularly familiar with. A coupe of unusual elegance, power and performance. The first genuine 2+2. The Aurelia set a standard and a style that competitors have had to follow. However, the true heir to the first coupe is the car you see at the top of this page, the Lancia Coupe. Beneath it you see its cousin, the Lancia HPE. In essence, every inch a coupe, but with the added convenience, extra passenger space and low capacity of an estate car. The line of both cars is timeless in design, refusing to succumb to the whims of fashion. They share a family-style grille with the Lancia badge at the centre, the same stainless steel wraparound bumpers, and the same discreet but effective side rubbing strips. They also share the same engineering, powerful twin overhead cam engines mounted transversely, which on the 2000 models are fuel injected. All-round independent strut suspension and 5-speed boxes, both Lancia inventions. Front-wheel drive, another Lancia first, and to cope with all that performance, the super duplex brake system with discs all round. To see which car will best suit you, take a look over the leaf inside the coupe and on the following page, the HPE. So here then is your lovely coupe. It is a lovely design actually, and like I mentioned, some quite nice alloy wheels and really giving you all the features you really wanted in the early 80s. 5-speed gearbox was starting to become the norm and kind of like the must-haves, and nice to see little features like disc brakes all round. This is going to be your 2000 IE model, and then below it the more unusually designed HPE. This is going to be your 1600, so just a 1600 in this one actually. Zooming in, we can see it sharing those same alloy wheels, and what an unusual exhaust poking out there. I don't know what it is about it. I just find this more interesting than the coupe really, although probably the coupe is the more attractive of the two. It's a very unusually designed car. Sort of a clever idea of getting a couple more passenger or a bit more room for the rear passengers and that sort of hatch to make it a bit more practical. We then turn the page and it's mainly focusing on that red coupe, isn't it? Although it does tell us the dash is the same on the coupe and on that HPE. Let's look at the text, then we'll look at these lovely images. It tells us at Lancia, 2 things are sacred. 1, quality of design and manufacture. 2, a belief that no feature of a Lancia is designed simply for show, but rather to enhance the overall driving experience. For example, the seats in the coupe, which are going to be the pictures we'll have a look in a moment, and the HPE are designed for the longest possible journeys. Comfortable, well padded, yet offering all-round support and finish in an attractive yet restrained check cloth. Both cars have reclining seats and, of course, head restraints front and rear. Note too how the upholstery is carried over onto the door panels. The dashboard is common to both the coupe and the HPE and is that of a true sports car. Speedometer and rev counter being given equal place. The instruments include a voltmeter, oil pressure and temperature gauge, an oil level indicator, a series of warning lights monitoring all the car's vital functions, and dashboard switches with illuminated symbols for easier selection. The steering wheel can be adjusted to your ideal driving position, and power steering is standard on all models. Finally, to ensure you extract the maximum pleasure from the car's ride, Pirelli P6 low profile tyres are also standard equipment. So quite a lot of equipment actually on these models, so there certainly was a little bit more expensive as a new car for sure, although I always found depreciation in the UK was pretty high for Lancias, and I think that was a lot to do. Was a few little electrical gremlins, and of course that dreaded rust, which, you know, was ultimately the end of the car. So it goes on to tell us about those tyres. They offer exceptional grip on all roads in all weathers and enable you to fully appreciate the 122 bhp and top speed of more than 110 in both the 2000 versions. And then here it shows that sort of tread pattern of those Pirelli tyres. I don't know how good or bad those tyres were, but certainly it was a premium feature to have those Pirellis put on there. I kind of find with modern cars, they put not particularly good tyres on them. Is that just me, or that's the kind of impression I get? I don't seem to really have those quality tyres that they put on new cars anymore. But anyway, moving on, looking at this dashboard, typically Italian, i.e. just that little bit different, really, isn't it? Not 100% keen on sort of like the plasticky look of it all, and that sort of light grey I've never been a fan of, but instruments are rather nice, and like it tells you, a nice big rev counter and speedometer shown there. Again, as I see on many sort of Italian cars, again, the sort of stalks look so flimsy you'd think they'd break off straight away. Anyway, moving down, and the seats, rather nice actually again on this model. We've got sort of 4 individual seats, all of them having rather nice head restraints on by the looks of it, and also not a sea of grey, which you often found becoming the norm in the 80s. Seats really break it up, and of course the door cards themselves are 2 colours as well. We then turn the page up, and it's, the images are for that HPE this time. We'll read the text, tell us there's a couple of engine sizes for this, and we'll come back to these images. The HPE is, of course, the perfect excuse for a family man to drive a sports car. It sounds more 70s at that introduction. It seats 3 in the back, and with individually folded rear seats enables you to carry any number of loads. You'll notice how, when the seats are folded down to take a full load, the back of the rear seats are protected from scuffing by a carpet covered flap. You'll notice too that the entire loading area is covered in carpet that is both hard wearing and easy to clean. Oh, you don't mind me just moving the camera down manually there. Like the coupe, the HPE also has certain executive touches. Electric front windows and a sunroof, for example, are standard equipment on the 2000 version. Well, there's also a spotlight above the rear view mirror for easy map reading at night. The HPE comes in 2 engine sizes, 1600 and 2000, with the option of the automatic on the 2000 version. Sounds like the 2000 was the model to go for, and if you picked that 1600, I think you lost a few of the features, as well as being a little bit more of a leisurely pace. They share with the coupe everything that is Lancia, style and comfort combined with verve and performance, qualities that enable the coupe and the HPE to live up to that ultimate Lancia accolade, the driver's car. And there we go, look at those seats, very much different to what they looked like in the coupe, possibly not quite as interesting. Moving down, it shows sort of like the electric window switches. It also gives you that light. Your sunroof, which actually looks quite a big sunroof for the time. And of course those split folding rear seats to make it a bit more practical. Then we turn the page and get to the final pages, specifications. As we all know, car brochures, they're usually at the end of the sign. We're coming to the end, and sort of like what have we got here? Warranties and RSA membership, and a nice little image of the coupe to end on. We'll have a look at the technical specs first, though. So first of all, apologies, it is very small text and unusually laid out, as in spread out, so I can't really zoom in much further, but we'll read it out. So we've got the 2000 Coupe IE, the 1600 HPE and the 2000 HPE IE. 1995cc if you go for the 2 litre version, 1585cc if you go for the 1600 HPE. So the 2 litres bringing out 122 bhp at 5500 rpm, maximum torque 129 foot-pounds at 2800 rpm. The smaller engine one is doing 100 bhp, 5800 rpm, 99 pound-foot of maximum torque at 3000 rpm. Number of cylinders 4 for all of them, 5 bearing engine with a light alloy cylinder head. Cylinder block is cast iron. Top speed for the coupe 2 litre is 116 miles per hour. the 2-litre coupe is the fastest one because obviously there's going to be a little bit of extra bulk on the HPE. The 1600 HPE top speed 107, the 2-litre HPE 112. 0 to 62 acceleration 10 seconds for the 2-litre coupe, 12 seconds for the 1600 HPE, and for the 2-litre HPE IE it is 10.2 seconds. We've also got a little bit of a chart there showing fuel consumption, which is a sea of information, so I'll just pick out some things. So constant 56, we're doing 58.7 miles per gallon for the 2-litre coupe, and we're doing approximately 41 miles per gallon for the 1600 HPE, 38.2 miles per gallon for the manual 2-litre HPE, and the auto HPE doing 34 miles per gallon at a constant 56, which isn't the best, I would say, but you know, it's a 2-litre at the end of the day, and 2 litres weren't that common for you to buy in the UK, I seem to feel. But anyway, it is what it is. I don't think you bought it for the fuel economy. Further technical specs going down the page. Hopefully, if you want to read it all, you can pause it. I know it's very small. Hopefully you're able to do that, so because I'm not going to read every single bit of information out there. It's got rack and pinion servo assisted steering, independent McPherson type with lower wishbone and anti-roll bar for the front suspension. Rear suspension is independent McPherson type, transverse links and anti-roll bar acting as reaction rod. Brakes, that super duplex vacuum servo assisted front and rear discs. Like I said, I see disc brakes all round in the early 80s. Then we've got the alloy wheels and service intervals every 6,000 miles for all the models. And then right at the bottom here, they've tried to cramp in all the specifications in this tiny print, which seems weird, but I'll read it out. Specifications: 4 halogen headlamps with automatic leveling control, rear fog lamps, external rear view door mirror, adjustable from interior, inertia reel front seat belts, heated rear window, rear wash wipe on HPE, 2-speed plus independent action windscreen wipers, rake adjustable steering wheel, instrument dimmer, illuminated lockable glove compartments, front roof panel reading light, digital clock, front and rear head restraints, steel sliding sunroof, and electric front windows on 2000 Coupe and 2000 HPE. The HPE featured on pages 4 and 5 is illustrated in a colour not available for the UK. So there you go. If you wanted that colour in the UK, you couldn't get it. So that's a little bit weird. Obviously, those images for that particular model, it looked like UK pictures, but maybe not. But strange showing a car in the UK brochure that you couldn't actually get in that colour. Just had to zoom back to remind myself, but yeah, this is the colour it's talking about. That's not a UK colour, and actually I quite like this sort of gold shade. It looks quite good for it, but this must be an Italian image, so these must be from the Italian brochure, these images. As we flick back to the main cover and zoom in on the HPE here, it's actually a silver example, which of course you could have got in the UK, so hope that cleared that up. Also, while I'm here, interesting, it's got these fog lights, but 2 fog lights dangling off the bumpers there. Of course, this was the time when fog lights became mandatory and car manufacturers started throwing fog lamps dangling from their bumpers before they changed their lights to include that. But quite often they used to just stick 1 on, so yeah, just shows you it was a little bit more upmarket, this car, that they actually threw 2 fog lights on here. So then the final page, I'm not going to read all this, but it says taking extra care of your Lancia. Talking about a vehicle warranty, we get a 12-month limited mileage warranty with these, 6-year anti-corrosion warranty. We even get RAC membership for 12 months. Parts and service, it talks about 120, did it say 130 Lancia dealers nationwide. Comprehensive aftercare and backup service. Talk about the Lancia fleet, Lancia car insurance, and the disabled driver and Lancia. We will zoom in on this final image though of this rather beautiful looking Lancia Coupe. Back page, not really much to talk about. This is where your dealer stamp would stamp it. Unfortunately, they haven't done in this case, but got the UK address. Fiat Auto UK Limited, Great West Road, Brentford, Middlesex. And then this super tiny writing where it always goes on about, you know, we've got the right to change things at any time, etc., etc. The date is on here, showing us July 1982. So there we go then, this lovely little Lancia brochure. I hope you've enjoyed this one today. Do you remember these cars? Please jot in the comments. Certainly if you owned one, they're always interesting ones to read, but even if you took a ride in one or just remember them, I always love hearing from every one of you and what are your views on these cars. I think rust was the big thing, but I would have loved to have driven one as a very brand new car. I bet there was something else a bit special. But thank you so much for watching today. Please do take care and please do come back soon. If you're not done already, please do consider subscribing as well. That is completely free. All the best, take care and goodbye.